Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
Welcome to Haven't Seen It, a movie podcast hosted by Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenet. One of these hosts hasn't seen the movie, and they're going to talk about it. Expect great insight.
Tim's really testing my commitment to the podcast by making me watch The Godfather.
Witty banter.
I like RoboCop shooting dicks, I guess.
And lots of laughs. Haven't Seen It. Available on Apple, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms.
Host a nationally syndicated talk show.
And I'm trying to help you keep it on the air.
We all know how important it is to keep our sponsors and affiliates happy, but in my humble opinion, there is only one person who really matters in this whole darn crazy business. And that is you, our viewer.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello there.
This week, we're discussing the horror new classic, Late Night with the Devil, starring, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher his name, David Dalmatian?
Sure.
Sure. 101 Dalmatians? I'm not sure. Something along those lines.
People from the Isle of Dalmatia, absolutely.
Dalmatia. So each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Dude, I got off work Friday, was my last day of work. I went and had a Mai Tai at 3 p.m, and I have been watching movies for the last 2.5 days.
That's
where
the best.
I just am walking around in a moo-moo. I did finally clean the kitchen and do a load of laundry, but otherwise Turner Classic Movies are on a loop. I am deep diving Peter Lorre. So I watched M, a Weimar Republic classic. I watched Crime and Punishment. I watched The Mask of Demetrius or something. I've been deep diving Peter Lorre.
I was thinking about this 25 years ago when I was in college. A good day for me. Like this, I look forward to these days. I have nothing going on. So I'd hit the Blockbuster Video and rent like 3 movies. Usually it was it was a movie from the 80s that I'd heard of but never seen, or maybe even the 70s. It's like, oh, I've never seen Serpico. I'm going to grab that. 3 movies. I'd order a pizza, maybe a 2-liter bottle of pop, and then just lock myself away in my dungeon and just have a marathon.
That's the best. That's the best. Basically, I have 10,000 things recorded on my DVR that some of them been in there 5-6 years where I have to lock, never delete. So I'm finally going there. I mean, some of them are silent films, which means you got to sit down.
Yes.
Watching
pay attention.
M. Yeah, M is like a silent film because it's in German, so I have to read everything.
Yep.
So, I'm trying to hit some of these. I got some Buster Keaton waiting for me. Because Buster Keaton is actually quite amusing. I remember taking cinema appreciation in college, And it was the first time I'd ever seen like Charlie Chaplin. And it was the Gold Rush. And I'm like, this is pretty goddamn funny.
I'm not doing that. That's a bridge too far for me. No thanks. No, because for me, and maybe it's different for you, there's something about like a cozy nostalgia of movies that maybe I'm less familiar with from the 70s and 80s. If we're getting back to the 20s and 30s, there's no cozy nostalgia for me. So who's to say?
There's no cozy nostalgia, but I really like the World War II and older, like detective, noir.
Absolutely.
And like the during the war, post-war, international intrigue, people on trains, spies, things like that. I really like old movies. Now, saying that, I did finally watch Foxy Brown, which has also been on my part of the weekend freak out. Watch movies till your eyes bleed.
Pam
it's
Grier.
Just deep diving Turner Classic Movies. That's what's been going on.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Give us your 30-second synopsis of Late Night with the Devil.
Dick Cavett has a late night show where he invites Linda Blair as the Exorcist on as a guest. Hijinks ensues.
Period, exclamation point.
Yes.
Interesting. So what we're supposed to believe is he's a late night, he's like a Johnny Carson type. Right?
I think maybe he's like one of these guys that are like after Carson or something. I'm not sure.
They said that he was up against him in the ratings.
But he's like a local dude, right? He's like
I don't think
local
so.
Chicago.
I don't think so. I think he's supposed to be like up against they were 1 and 2 in the ratings.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant in their area he was getting better numbers. I thought he was like a local yokel, like the best of Chicago. And in Chicago, he was starting to beat. You're saying that this was a national.
This is maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding is he's a national dude. And I'm trying to think, who were the other national late night hosts in the 70s?
I mean, who's the guy who was on really late?
There was Tom Snyder who was on.
Tom Snyder. Quite frankly, before all, Letterman and all these people all wanted to go up against Johnny, was there anyone? I mean, I don't know anyone. Before all that happened, I mean, it was Johnny. It was Johnny Carson.
I mean, there must have been.
If I was up that late.
Right. Well, because you got to remember, Johnny Carson was not the first host of The Tonight Show.
Yeah, but how old do you think I am? Jesus Christ.
So it was Johnny Carson in the 80s. Then you got the David Lettermans of the world to kind of compete. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, David came after. See, it went Johnny
David
Carson
was on an
after the Tonight Show, same channel.
They were not directly against each other.
They were never. Yeah, he never went up against Johnny Carson.
So it depended on what time you got back from your party, whether you were still watching Carson or if you wanted to watch David Letterman, and they were different shows.
Yes,
David Letterman was weird and wacky and really more for the college crowd and the young folk.
100%.
Not that Carson wasn't funny. I still enjoyed Carson. But it was a different show with different guests.
Your parents would watch Johnny Carson. Whereas,
I would watch it because he could be funny. I mean, the best part was always the beginning with his monologue and his banter and all that.
But this is 1,000. I mean, when did Johnny, was it 89 that he finally retired? So it's been a while. This is neither here nor there. This guy is that. But when I think of 70s talk shows, we're thinking, like we said, your Dick Cavett's, your Mike Douglas's.
Those were like afternoons.
Those were afternoon. Your Dinah Shores, your Merv Griffins. I don't think of the nighttime programming. Right. But again, I was 4.
It's like no one bothered, In my mind, there wasn't anything else. There'd be a late movie, maybe the news, because why would you put anything up? You're wasting money to go up against Carson.
That's what it is. Straight up. Now, you and our other sister Tara were first talking about this. I had heard of it vaguely, but you guys seem to have more of knowledge about it than I did.
Not really. I saw the poster and I was like, what the hell is this? Because the poster looked like shit. But then I saw it got like huge ratings, and then our sister watched it, so it got me a little buzzy. So I'm glad we watched it because I love some 70s nostalgia.
It's funny. I think I told you this. Because I was on X or something, and I saw a snippet of a scene from this movie, and it was so Fulci-ish and violent. I was just like, God, what is this movie? So I wasn't rushing out to see it until you guys started talking about it, and then you came to visit, and we watched it together. But I was hesitant. I thought it was going to be an Eli Roth.
I try not to know what it's about. I want to be surprised. But you're right. I didn't want to see a freak show. So when I realized what the main premise is, then I was like, okay, I'm down for this.
Right. And what's interesting, another thing, is that we were watching it, and my kids were walking in promptly announcing that this movie was canceled, which I didn't realize. I'm like, whoa, what did I miss?
I know.
Harvey Weinstein, was he the producer on this movie? I mean, what happened?
I mean, things are canceled all the time. We were on another podcast, and someone told me one of the podcasters I used to listen to for years were canceled. I'm like, well, why were they canceled? Well, they're not really friends. They don't really get along. That's why they're canceled. And sometimes at their live shows, they don't vet the people who come up on stage to tell the story. And that's why they're canceled?
I mean, are they? Do they do their thing at the CPAC? I mean, Is this the? Anyway,
that seems so trivial. Like this cancellation, it's important that everybody's angry at AI, and justly so. Yes. So the reason this movie was canceled is because the cards that they would use when the TV show would have to go off the air.
We'll be right back. Right.
Well, technical I don't know what those cards are called, but they were created using AI.
Right.
Therefore, the movie's canceled.
Yes. Right. And the idea is that you want to pay a creative person, to design these little interstitials rather than paying your AI
a graphic designer to do the graphic design.
Correct.
And I agree with that.
I agree with it.
Does that mean you're canceled?
Right.
Because, I mean, no one was raped. Let's be clear.
We don't know. Let's just say that. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I cannot comment one way or the other. But you're right. It's like, look, we all support our artists, right? You're an artist, for goodness sake. So we support our artists. This was not the script was written by AI, or the film was directed by AI, or the actors are AI,
or this or that, or anything else.
This is something that was on screen for less than 10 seconds combined, if I had to guess. So, you know what? Do you. If you feel you want to cancel some stuff, fire away. But I was not offended. Now I'm almost 50, so maybe my tolerance for what I should be offended by is a little different than some. So, such is life.
Agreedo. I mean, to me, it's like CGI. That's all fucking AI too, but 100%. No one's crying about that. I mean, these used to be practical effects. There was a dude who was sculpting it out of clay and painting the background. So,
absolutely.
I don't know.
Why don't we jump right into the highlights, Aaron? Do you got anything? Do you have even your notes in front of you?
I wrote 4 notes, and I can't remember what they are, but they were just general descriptions. I just want to say that this had, especially at the beginning, a very legitimate vibe. Mm-hmm. It totally reminded me, because I'm old enough to remember, like, after school, the talk shows and the late night talk shows, where it would be Halloween, so you would have a psychic on, you would have a magician on. There are a lot of characters on this that were got to be based on real people. Like they had the psychic and magician debunker. Was it Harry Blackstone? What was the name?
Something like that. I don't know if it was Harry Blackstone, but yes.
No, but I can't remember. The Amazing Randy. the Amazing Randy would come on and he would be the debunker. So they had him on. So it had like a real vibe. The costuming was right. The colors were right. Everything was like kind of like that tomato orange, that yellow, the browns. I mean, it looked really true.
Yeah.
And the way they talked really seemed true.
The sideburns.
Oh, I mean, I was digging the vibe, and you saw some funky things going on, but you weren't really sure what's going on. They gave you like it was a mockumentary, so they gave you the backstory,
behind the scenes,
the death of his poor wife, who he loved, and there was some mysterious connection with him and the Young Republicans in the Grove, where they go out for those man chanting things. Men.
It's what we do.
Up to these hijinks.
Right. Let me very, very briefly kind of give you an idea. So it is a late night talk show, and they kind of, like we said, in kind of documentary fashion, where it's like, presumably this was the final episode of the Bleez Blahs show.
Unless.
Right. Well, but I think that in retrospect, it became the final episode.
It was Sweeps Week, too.
It was Sweeps because in the mid-'70s, he was like fighting with Johnny Carson. But by now, the late 70s, their ratings are taking a dive. The last couple of years have gone down, and they seem to be on the brink of cancellation. So on Sweeps Week, they are doing all sorts of kind of sensational stuff. Like Aaron said, you got the psychic debunker, and you've got the possessed girl and her psychiatrist.
I mean, girl raised in a sex cult.
Yes.
Who has either demonic spirits or multiple personality, all which was super hot in the 70s, one way or another. Either you have multiple personalities or you got a devil or you got both. Maybe you're multiple personalities possessed by the devil. All good stuff in the 70s.
It's good stuff now, frankly. You know what I'm saying?
That's just science.
Just science. Well, now, and I have to say, this is kind of reminiscent. In the 80s, I remember you might watch Phil Donahue or Geraldo or even Oprah. And in the 80s, you might have, I was in a demonic sex cult when I was a child. Let's talk about your experiences, right? They would have...
That's definitely the 80s. And things morphed because everything before that was like The Tonight Show, but in the afternoon. You have a comic on, you'd have a singer on, and you would have an actor on.
Celebrities. Right.
It was celebrities and people would interview. It's the same layout. It's a desk. It's 3 chairs. And viewership started dropping off. So you had these larger audience and audience engagement. I mean, Phil Donahue and Oprah and all these shows were not at the beginning what they became.
Correct.
It wasn't like paternity tests and fistfights.
That was right.
But it became that.
Yeah, by the 90s, you had Richard Bay and Jerry Springer, but I think it was a kickoff, the kickoff of Geraldo. Geraldo's really the one who was like, by the late 80s.
That was good shit. With the Nazis busted a chair on his face and broke his nose.
Absolutely. He'd have the Black Panther Party and the neo-Nazi on the same show together. And then
when
just be like...
When I was in college, I had some of the guys in the fraternity were working at the local TV station, so I made them bring me like 8x10 glossies of Geraldo. And I used it for an art project.
So jumping from that to Jerry Springer and Richard Bay, where it was now just freaks. There's no celebrities. There's no, Joni Mitchell's out pushing her new album. None of that.
Who's the father of my daddy? My boyfriend, my father, or my uncle? Oh, it's none of them because I'm a dirty whore.
1,000%. 1,000%. This is neither here nor there. Okay. But we can also talk about how in the 90s, everybody got a talk show for 5 minutes or so. You had Pat Sajak had a talk show. Chevy Chase had a talk show. Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips. Ricky Lake. The list goes on and on.
People love Ricky Lake.
Absolutely.
They all have their moment.
They all had their 5 fucking seconds.
And they're still doing the same old shit. Except now it's like shoved to morning TV.
Yes.
Where no one's home.
I
don't know who they're
we all have
to.
to work, right? What is it? We're talking about, this has totally gone off the rails now, but it's like how there used to be a lot of soap operas. There was like 30 soap operas on during the day. And all the ratings dived because guess what? Everybody's got to work. Nobody's sitting at home wondering what floor polish they should use, floor wax.
Now, our aunt and cousins still record
The
Young and the Restless.
Well, now there's 3 left. There's General Hospital, Young and the Restless, and what? Days of Our Lives? Those are the only ones left?
Like Sands Through the Hourglass. I have not watched a soap opera, an American soap opera.
An American soap opera.
I do watch British soap opera regularly.
Absolutely.
But they don't run cosmetics company or oil plantations. They're all just like poor people vaguely involved in crime.
That's true. EastEnders. That's what they do on the East End of London.
That's
Anywho.
right. Boom.
And by the way, in England, you can be a bald sex symbol. Okay?
And in Germany, too.
Absolutely.
Everyone looks... In Berlin, everyone looks like Moby.
They do. Well, I'll say this. It's like I watched one episode of EastEnders. It's like here's the.
Why were you watching my soap opera?
Because I rented a room for years. I walk in there.
That's right.
Here's the romantic lead, bald, and his rakish brother, bald. It's like really. Is everybody bald? That's how they do it. That was
Grant and Phil. Phil's still on it.
That's what I'm saying.
He's like the Victor Newman of the British soap operas.
And this is before Vin Diesel.
He's been married 6 times since then.
This is before Jason Statham. Although maybe, hey, that he knew where the wind was blowing. He's from England. Anywho.
Bald, about 250, about 5'6". What could be wrong?
What could be wrong? 250 of rippling muscles, by the way.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe not the guys on EastEnders.
Muscles all on his belly.
Anyway, Late Night with the Devil. So this movie kind of takes a turn because you wonder, you figure there's going to be some demonic shit going down, but it seems like shit's going wrong before they bring out the possessed girl, like the fake psychic. We think he's fake, right? But then he starts, throwing up like tar and drops dead.
It was a Sam Raimi experience. It was like black tar. I don't know what you ate, dude, but that ain't good.
So he's doing his thing while the kind of debunker's there, and the guy's like, throwing up like projectile, like Texas tea, black gold all over and he's like, that's standard BS. Anybody could do fake projectile vomit. It's like, bro.
He was, I just Googled, he's totally the Amazing Randy. He even looks like the Amazing Randy. The psychic goes out and he's just blowing it left and right with the audience until all of a sudden he's like struck by lightning in his head. And
yes.
He's getting signals about the host, followed by extreme rockety vomiting.
That was a funny moment where he's out there trying
Amazing Randy's always so angry.
Yes.
And the fake Amazing Randy is just as angry.
Oh, no question. But when the guy's up there kind of, I'm getting vibrations, and he's like, anybody with and the guy goes, my cousin's name is Molly or something. It was something totally ridiculous. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's what I'm talking. That whole opening part was very amusing. But well, what happens? He goes to the one couple, like it's the mom and her daughter. Oh yes, my mother or somebody just died recently, and it's very emotional. But then it's revealed they had answered interview questions while they were waiting in line to come in.
Someone was in line with them, asking them questions. It's the usual Bizzly Bozzle.
Total Bizzly Bozzle. So
I told you, I saw the Long Island Medium when she came to town. It was the most depressing show I ever saw in my life. The whole front row is families who have lost young children.
Oh, God.
You want to kill yourself by the time you're done.
100%. Well, and we've talked about this before. I don't have an issue with some of this stuff. It all depends what we're talking about. If you go in and talk to a medium or a palm reader or whatever the hell, you pay your fee for your entertainment, cool. Whatever they say, who cares? That's fine. Now it's, if you need to tithe, where every month they're coming back and cutting me a check for $1,000, then that's a problem.
There's a curse and there's more messages.
Right.
Literally, somebody stopped me in Vegas and I'm only going to be here one night. If you want to come back to my room, there's an important message. There's a woman standing by here. I'm like, I'm sure it's my grandma because I'm winning at craps. She's like, what? I'm like, that's great news. She's like, but if you want to, I'm like, no, thank you. You said enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
On your
Thank you
way,
very
half
much.
Barefoot white trash lady. Get away from me.
Get thee behind me.
Grandma, get her.
Right. And I especially liked how when it cranks up and they bring out the possessed girl, it takes a dark turn. Right? There's
simmering. It's simmering.
There's a simmer with the fake psychic medium, whatever he was, at the beginning. But there were moments of kind of like, well, that's kind of funny. But when they bring out the psychic, then it starts taking a turn. Because there's a point where he says, the debunker, he's like, it's all fake. There is some, hypnosis that clearly people can do, and let me demonstrate the hypnosis. Then it goes right off the rails.
It goes crazy because meanwhile, Doc Severinsen is already
Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon are getting the willies, and they're like, nah, brother, this thing is getting weird, and everybody's like, shut up, this is the best TV ever. This reminds me of, what was that fake talk show? The Larry Sanders show.
Larry
where everybody
Sanders.
was like, shut up, it'll be fine.
It is. Well, it's like Jaws, right? Where there's warnings and people don't always listen to the warnings. And of course, then the shit goes down. But yeah, so he does some kind of thing where he hypnotizes not just the dude, but the audience as well, the home audience, the crowd. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's hypnotized. And the guy talks about his fear of worms.
Oh, yeah.
Like Roxanne.
Never gonna get hypnotized. If we're going to go there, my fear is getting raped by monsters. Is he going to just throw that out at me?
Okay, I wouldn't even suggest that. I wouldn't even go, good Lord. No.
I don't want worms crawling out of my stomach either.
Because I'm afraid of worms, Roxanne. Worms. And then it's like, hey, I noticed you cut yourself shaving there. What do you mean? And you see like the worms coming out of it.
It's a full poltergeist experience. The next thing you know, you're like peeling your face off.
It was, he opens his shirt. Oh, they're inside. Worms dump it out. And then you think that's bad. Then it's, and his eyeball pops out and a giant worm crawls out. That is the scene that I saw on Twitter. Just that moment. And I was like, whoa, what is this movie? I don't think I want to watch it. Now, the whole rest of the movie, there's no violence or gore really at all.
It's just the hypnosis. But when I go to Vegas tomorrow, I'm not fucking volunteering for any hypnosis show.
Are they going to do that, though?
I feel like I would be very susceptible, and God knows what's going to end up on the social media.
It's meant to be fun, so I can't imagine it's going to be like there's a giant worm crawling out of your eye socket now.
It's Vegas. It's all fun and games until it's not.
Anything could happen. Anything can happen. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, they say, unless it's a giant worm.
Unless it follows.
Unless it follows. What did they say in The Hangover? They're like, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for herpes. That'll follow. Yeah. That'll come back with you. It's true.
Except for gonorrhea.
Well, exactly, 100%. So then it's revealed, none of that happened. I just used my hypnosis skills. Therefore, anything you see, because they went back and literally played back the video And they said, look, see,
No worms.
no worms. Nothing happened. It was all hypnosis. So the question, then it's like, but what happened with the possessed girl, where it was like she was floating and all this shit? They were contemplating running the show back to show us what happened with there, but I don't think they actually did, because they wanted like an air of mystery for at least a moment longer, right?
You had to go to commercial break. The ratings were out of control. People were calling to complain. What the hell's happening?
Right. So it really goes off the rails there, because then it's the little possessed girl's head explodes, and then lightning is shooting out, and people are burning and electrocuted and all sorts of shit. So
all I can tell you is this girl is so good. It's kind of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. The minute you see him, you know, oh shit. The minute you see this little Manson girl bebopping out with her the bad seed politeness, you know. The minute she calls adults by their first name.
Yes. That's offensive. That's offensive to me.
It's an assault.
Even my students are like, hi, Kevin. And they look at me and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't answer to that name.
Well, they all try the whammy.
They do. F for you.
My civics teacher name was Roxanne. And I don't know, but there was this little ditty by The Police that was about the same time I had her class. So there was a lot of, Roxanne, you don't have to put out your red light. Walk the street for money.
Is Sting with us right now?
Years of karaoke.
Well, the good thing about that song, Roxanne, of course, it deals with a prostitute. So that's
nothing like calling your civic teacher a prostitute.
A hooah. A dirty hooah. Sweet Jesus. Any other highlights you'd like to talk about from Crazy Late Night with the Devil?
Dude, all I can tell you, because I took no notes, because I was like in.
Yeah.
There was like nothing to really complain about.
That is true.
It was fun.
Yes.
And the end was so bizarre. I was like, what the hell? And you don't really know what's real at the end.
You don't. Was it all hypnosis?
Was it all
a trick?
Hypnosis?
Yes.
Was it all a hallucination?
Yep.
What the hell? But I was just happy that little girl be dead. That's all.
Absolutely. Was she? I guess because it cuts back to he stabbed her.
Right.
She's got a knife in her stomach.
He's hallucinating that his wife has begged him to kill her as she's dying from cancer.
Right.
And as he puts the knife in, which to me seems like it's going to be hard to explain.
You think?
He wakes up and he's killed the girl.
But everybody else is still dead, right? It wasn't like they were standing there shocked and in horror. That would have been an interesting ending. If they cut to that and everybody's standing there going, oh my God.
Oh. Yeah, you're 5 minutes into the show or something.
See? Interesting. No, it was kind of an interesting kind of cozy. I keep saying cozy. Is interesting cozy snapshot of that time period.
I agree.
The fashion.
I agree.
You said it. The colors, the weird oranges. You know, when
it had the flavor, it has the vibe, it had the way people talked, it had the way people. The girl, everybody slightly looks like somebody who was a thing in the 70s.
Absolutely.
The handler for the girl looked like one of Charlie's Angels or something.
She did. Yeah.
She's totally dressed in the appropriate satiny, cute little
blousey thing.
Oh yeah, it was perfect.
She was Jacqueline Smith.
She was no, because she was blonde. She was the other one.
Was she blonde? I thought she had brown hair. Am I crazy?
Jacqueline Smith had dark hair.
She had brown. Well,
it wasn't Farrah Fawcett.
Was it Cheryl Ladd? Is that what you're saying?
Cheryl Ladd. She was kind of doing a Cheryl Ladd, I think.
Who could say? Who could say
that she was wearing Jacqueline Smith for Target, or was it Kmart?
It was if Cheryl Ladd put on Kate Jackson's clothes, is what you're saying.
No,
it was
Jacqueline Smith's clothes.
Well, no, Jacqueline Smith on the show was a little sassier.
Oh,
okay, but you're right. At the Kmart collection, It is definitely the Jacqueline Smith. No question.
You know, I named our cat Katie after Kate Jackson because she was the smart one. I thought
Sabrina.
the other ones were dumb.
Sabrina was the smart one.
So our
No
cat
question.
was named after her.
Absolutely. I read somewhere that on Charlie's Angels, it was going to be like a Kate Jackson vehicle, like initially. And then they brought in
Kate.
Jacqueline Smith and
They
Farrah
brought
Fawcett.
in Farrah Fawcett, and
That was it. That was it. And then it became Ensemble, and she was pissed. That's why they eventually replaced her because she was bitching because of all that stuff. Well, it was also
after a while,
because
it just became a rotating blondes.
well, this is what happened. It was Kate Jackson, Jacqueline Smith, and Farrah Fawcett. Farrah was on it for 1 year.
Can you even believe that? Because all you think about of that show is her.
She bounced, and they replaced her with Cheryl Ladd, who was there. Basically, Jacqueline Smith was there from beginning to end. She was there the entire time.
You know, her bread was getting buttered.
100%. And then I think Cheryl Ladd stayed from when she joined to the end. But when Kate Jackson left, then they replaced her with, oh, God damn it. Now her name just jumped out of my brain. Whatever. Somebody, and she was only on it for 1 year because nobody liked her.
It was another blonde.
It was another
right?
blonde. Hatch. Shelley Hack. Shelley Hack.
Shelley Hack. Nobody liked Shelley.
Nobody liked her, so they got rid of her. And they replaced her with the final season of Charlie's Angels with Tanya Roberts, who was the only one who wasn't. Is she dead? Oh, poor Tanya Roberts. Could be. Her career, anyway.
I think I'm thinking of Tawny Katane.
Tawny Katane, never a Charlie's Angel. Although she was in a Whitesnake video. I think 2 Whitesnake videos. And the movie Witchboard, which is a horror flick. So there you go. Good times.
It all circles
It
back.
all circles back. Any last thoughts on Late Night with the Devil?
No, I'm going to say check it out, kids.
Check it out. Let's go behind the scenes, shall
Good,
we?
because we're only 34 minutes
I know
into
we got
this.
no matter how much
Start
Charlie's
scratching.
Angel time we talk about. The Carmichael character is very clearly based, including physically, on the real life James Randi. Like you said, Randy was a talented magician who became a famous psychic debunker and started an institute that offered a large reward to anyone who could reproduce their supposed paranormal powers.
He debunked Uri Geller. That was his big thing.
Yeah.
Uri Geller could bend all the spoons and stuff
Yes.
with his mind.
Well, that's what's so ridiculous. Look, you're a magician, whatever, illusionist, whatever the case may be. It's a trick. Accept that, acknowledge that it's a trick, and we're doing this for entertainment. It doesn't have to be, I was struck by lightning and possessed by the ghost of a, you know what I mean?
That check for $1 million if you could prove psychic ability.
Yep. So over decades, nobody was able to win the money.
No.
Bah, bah, bah.
He was always angry.
Yes. The name of the mysterious men-only club situated in the California Redwoods was The Grove. It was inspired by the real-life Bohemian Grove located at 2601 Bohemian Avenue in Monte Rio, California. The Bohemian Grove's...
Monte Rio?
I don't know. We have to look it up. But Bohemian Grove's membership boasts several politicians, including 3 presidents of the United States, industrialists, and other noted figures. One of the Real Grove's founders was Ambrose Bierce, author of several horror stories and the cynical Devil's Dictionary. So
The Devil's Dictionary.
The Grove's rituals, which have been described as falling between occult and kitsch, include frequent images of owls. So there you go. What do you think about that?
All right, so it looks like it is north of Santa Rosa.
Cult leader Xandor Dabo appears to be based on the Church of Satan founder Anton Szandor LaVey.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. That we saw in, of course, The Devil's Raid.
100%. Traditional...
Except wearing a crazy helmet. No helmet here.
No helmet. Unnecessary. Traditional folklore states that if a person makes contact with the devil for earthly goods, the devil comes to claim his payment in 7 years. The documentary footage at the start of the film shows Delroy at the Grove in 1969. His wife dies in 1976, 7 years later.
100%. As soon as I saw his wife and he was in a secret society, I'm like, it is Rosemary's effing baby.
100%. Famed horror novelist Stephen King has praised the movie. He said, I got a screener. It's absolutely brilliant. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Your results may vary, as they say, but I urge you to watch it when you can. So
Agreedo.
Those said
It's a fresh idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Give me something new.
Don't
take a science fiction movie and then just add everything from every other science fiction and call it Event Horizon.
Fair enough. Though set in New York City, the film was shot at the Dockland Studios in Melbourne, Australia. Coincidence?
Because that's where we shoot everything now, apparently. They got more money, so it doesn't need to be Croatia.
It does not. Bulgaria.
Can't afford Canada, so let's get on board a really long flight to Australia.
The movie made $666,666 on Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at the box office, according to the distributor.
I don't believe that for 1 minute. And quite frankly, not a lot of money.
This is one day. In all likelihood, it wasn't a coincidence, as box office figures can be manipulated by around 5% by the distributor to compensate for receipts not being tracked by Rentrack. So there you go. Interesting. When Dr. June Ross Mitchell is trying to exorcise the demon Abraxas out of Lily, she orders Vade Retro Satana. It is a quote from Latin used in exorcism, meaning...
Retro means turn back or something.
Get
Satan?
Behind me, Satan.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. Jesus, take the wheel.
I'm very concerned. There was this popular jewelry store where I went to college called Abraxas. Now I assume every pair of earring I bought went right to Satan's pocket.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Guarantee.
I think that's about it. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Let's do it. We just saw, the funny thing about watching this is we were just watching the 100 greatest horror, the 50 greatest horror, whatever the hell you were throwing on. We watched it for 26 hours, and the guy that starred in this, they kept coming back.
They did. And this is from a couple years ago. So
he looks exactly the same. So maybe he's got
a
portrait of Dorian Gray tucked away.
They can't all have a portrait of Dorian Gray.
Everybody's got a closet where you hide shit you don't want other people to see. It's possible.
Anything's possible. Directed and written by Cameron and Colin Cairns.
Oh, that's too much.
They are known for Late Night with the Devil, 100 Bloody Acres, Scare Campaign, Celestial Avenue. The list goes on and on.
Are they Australian?
I believe they are. Wah wah.
All that stuff sounded just terrible.
Let's see. David Dastmalchian, I'm sure I'm butchering his name, I apologize, played Jack Delroy. You know him from such things as Oppenheimer, playing William Borden.
Never saw it.
He was Peter DeVries in Dune in 2021.
I guess I saw that one. I never saw the second one.
I did see the second one.
What's the point?
He was the Polka Dot Man in The Suicide Squad in 2021.
Never saw that.
And of course, Late Night with the Devil 2023.
So not so much, huh?
Well, there's more.
New?
I just picked the first four things. He was in The Last Voyage of the Demeter. He was in The Boogeyman.
Oh, I have that recorded on my DVR. It's one of my thousands of movies.
He was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. He was in
I was never going to see that shit. So a lot of superhero films.
The Al Yankovic story.
I heard good things about that, actually.
He's been in a ton of stuff. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He's been acting for 1,000 years. I just picked the first couple of things.
All right.
There you go. Let's see. Anybody else you want to know from the cast? Laura
What
Gordon.
about Susan Atkins?
Oh, the little girl, Lily, was played by Ingrid Torelli. What was she in?
First of all, her name's Ingrid, so there's already a problem.
You know her from Late Night with the Devil. She was in 10 episodes of 5 Bedrooms. She was Margot in Force of Nature, The Dry 2. And she was in 6 episodes of Bloom. I'm sure these are all
She's
Australian
clearly
shows.
Australian also.
100%. Laura Gordon played June Ross Mitchell, the child psychiatrist, whatever she was. You know her from Saw 5 in 2008, Late Night with the Devil, Undertow in 2018, and she was in 5 episodes of 20-something.
Oh my God.
Not
20-something.
Not 30-something.
Oh.
20-something.
I'm like, how old is she? Well, I like the fact that she's a psychologist, so immediately she assumes she's possessed.
Oh, 100%. You got to.
I mean, in the end, she does seem to have some powers.
It would seem to suggest so, right? No question. Let me see.
And
Reese,
was she and the host getting it on?
They did, yes. They kind of suggested that. They had a thing going on. They got a thing.
Hypnotize her and bring Satan to my theater. Yay!
Yeah, she had her second thoughts about doing that, so I understand. Reese O'Terry played Gus McConnell. He was like his Ed McMahon, his Andy. What the hell's his name on Conan O'Brien?
I never watched
that. Andy Richter, not Andy Dick, not
Andy Dick.
He's only been in 2 things. He was in Late Night with the Devil, and he was in a short, A Good Deed in 2018.
Unfamiliar. Who played the Amazing Randy?
Who was the Amazing Randy? His name on the show was what? I don't remember. Was it Carmichael Haig? Is that him? Ian Bliss played Carmichael Haig.
Ian Bliss.
Yeah, that's him. He was in The Matrix Reloaded. He was in The Matrix Revolutions. He was in Stealth in 2005.
Unfamiliar.
He was in Superman Returns in 2006. So he's actually done quite a few things that normal people would have seen. He was in Olivia Newton-John, Hopelessly Devoted to You TV miniseries, playing 1 episode as uncredited. Well, that's not great. Anywho, anybody else?
I love Olivia Newton-John, but I'm not sure who's playing uncredited.
Do you want to know anybody else from the cast?
Is there anybody else? The guy dresses as a skeleton. How about the young couple who had a dead brother? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm just kidding.
Faisal Bazi played Christu, the medium. You know him from such things as Shantaram, 12 episodes. He was in Late Night with the Devil, 6 episodes of Stateless, and he was in the Peter Rabbit movie, playing Mr. Todd, just a voice.
So do we assume that this is an A24 production and all the films must come from Australia?
Is it an A24 production? I don't know if it is or not, frankly.
I don't know.
Could be.
Smells like it, unless they only make films in Australia now.
It's entirely possible. Let's go look at the rating, shall we? Late Night with the Devil. Currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, 97%. Boom. Certified fresh. You know what the audience gave it?
What?
We were supposed to guess.
It is 100%.
81%.
I was just going to drop it down to the 80s.
81. Well, then you're right. Amazing.
I was right again. I'm the Amazing Randy.
You are. Let's see. Amy Nicholson from the Los Angeles Times says, this is a pressure cooker film, an exercise in small budget simplicity that leans on one set and one goal. Keep them watching. Boom. Let's see. Megan Navarro from Bloody Disgusting says, the ingenuity, the painstaking period recreation, a riveting performance by Dastmalchian, and a showstopper of a finale make for one Halloween event you won't want to miss.
Oh, yeah. This would be super fun to watch on Halloween.
Question. Matt Zoller Seitz from RogerEbert.com says, the movie gets in its own way and trips over itself repeatedly.
What?
4. Who can say? What is
What
your
did he
rating?
give it? He gave it a 1 out of 4.
2 out of 4. 2 out of 4. What do you give it though?
This is a hard one because it was really good. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like that Abigail movie, it I don't really have to think about it that much. It didn't make that big of an impact on my life.
Right.
I like it more than Abigail, but God, this is a hard one because it's good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a 5.
Absolutely not.
I'm not sure how close to a 4 it is.
That's the question, right?
That's the question. It's what degree between 3 and 4? It's not 100%. It's no Babadook.
No.
You know what I mean? But it's really good, so it should have some props for that. Plus the whole original idea
Mhm.
and the commitment to the vibe. I mean, I am going to give it 3.85 people vomiting on the Amazing Randy out of 4.
They did take his jacket to be dry cleaned, so that was good of them. No, I'm
now they realize they don't have to pay for it now.
I'm right there with you. They do not, absolutely not. They don't even have to pick it up, right? Just keep that
Insurance
one.
will cover that.
No, I enjoyed this movie, but it wasn't like when it was over, I stood up and applauded. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that was entertaining. I mean,
It was entertaining.
it was entertaining, but it's by no means like, oh shit, everybody drop what you're doing, rush out and see Late Night with the Devil. So it is that kind of thing. And I've said it before. If you get to a 4 on my scale, that means you're in the rotation. You're in the
Right.
rotation.
It's big. I mean, I'll watch this again. For sure, I'll watch this again. This would be perfect for Halloween as the trick-or-treaters come by.
Well,
I will
yes.
I will see it again. But yeah, it's not a classic, but it's very good.
It's a very good, but that's the issue. Is it's like in my mind, 4 is good, 5 is great, right? And I don't know if it's, but see, if you're under 4, now you're in the 3s, and 3
know,
always
it's a
seems
hard one.
mediocre. So it's hard. It's a hard one. So I'm gonna,
Almost a 4. How about we'll just say it's almost a 4.
I mean, and it's kind of like for me, it means, am I going to buy this? Am I going to buy it and add it to my collection? And the answer is no. I'm not going to buy it.
Goddamn
That's-
movies. I didn't even buy Rosemary's Baby, which
I
is
know.
my favorite, but it's been on my DVR for 10 years with the keep.
Well, that's because you don't have to buy it because it's just trapped in your rotation. You're a true media purchaser. If you're like, this movie will always be on Disney Plus, but I'm buying it anyway. Because I gotta have it's gotta be May. So I'm
we
gonna
discussed that you buy all this digital media that floats in the atmosphere, and then when you die, it's gone.
we've talked about it once. I don't think that's how it works. I just tell people know my password. It just continues on. Somebody else just keeps using my stuff.
I don't know, because I thought I saw something on the news that the password does not go on. I mean, that's what they want to say.
So what? Wait a minute. This makes absolutely no. If it still exists, and there's still a
But
password,
even if you don't exist.
correct. It's not like, well, we read the obituaries. My chosen heir. So therefore, Voodoo, now called Fandango at home. Sorry. So now you just forfeit all that stuff. That's not how it works.
I'm telling you.
You're out of your
It's a scam.
scam. It's a scam-a-llama ding-dong. So I'm going to say 3.75 out of 5.
Less than mine.
less
I was
than you.
8.5.
Less
I was
than you.
8.5.
I don't know. I was intrigued at best. I don't think I was ever scared. And like I
No,
said,
It's scary, but I was not scared.
it was again, to me, it was more interesting than scary. And
Yeah.
even the kind of gross out moment, I already knew about. So I don't know if that's bad or good.
I did not. Thank you, though.
Were you appalled and shocked when his eyeball pops out and a giant worm crawls out?
No, when you're dealing with the devil, it gets messy.
It gets messy. 100%.
It can't be worse than somebody vomiting pea soup and then masturbating with a crucifix.
It can't be worse than that.
It can never be worse than that. So worms or crucifix in your hoo-ha.
Right.
Worms any day, right?
Well, and honestly, the real worms coming out of his neck and his stomach were probably grosser. Like when the eyeball pops out, you're like, ew, but then you see it's kind of a fake looking big old worm kind of there. That didn't do it for me on second view. So I would say watch it. I would definitely say watch it. But I would say temper your expectations. It's not a world beater.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's entertaining. But to me, it's not like an oh shit, damn. It's not a damn. Check that movie out.
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts on Late Night with the Devil?
Bodies or Malignant.
Clearly not. Clearly not. So, any last thoughts on this, Aaron, before we move on?
No. Enjoyed. That's that.
That's that. So, thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram, TikTok. You may be watching this on YouTube. You can email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I think I'm still on Artsy and First Dibs. Otherwise, I'm on the gram, the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult.
Indeedly deedly do. As you know, we like to include feedback, viewer, listener comments from across social media. Let's take a look, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's see. Talking about Deadly Friend. We have multiple responses here. Let's see if I can read them. CJ Ponyboy says, I remember as a kid, me and my friends rewinding the VHS at this scene and laughing our butts off. Comedy gold. This is, of course, referring to the scene where young pre-MAGA Christy Swanson throws a basketball and blows up Anne Ramsey, Mama, the titular Mama in Throw Mama from the Train, and her head explodes.
That was a little shocking. I was not anticipating that.
Shocking. No question. Bill716 says, she's got one hell of an arm on her. No question.
Indeedly do. WNBA, here we go.
Absolutely. Next week, we're going back to crazy, ridiculous horror. Aaron doesn't even know what we're doing. We are doing the horror classic Death Spa. Death Spa. It's an 80s...
That's not a real thing.
It's a real movie. It is about a haunted health spa, as gyms were called in the late 80s. You can watch. Is it possessed? Is it haunted? Who can say? You can watch it on AMC Plus, Vudu with ads, Tubi with ads, or Shudder, Plex for free. So it's all over the place. So send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may, just may, talk about it on the show. So, thank you very much, and be well!
Good day.